Hello, everyone. Erica Reddick with Generally Irritable here. Super excited today to be doing some candidate highlight videos. And one of my favorite candidates this year, I actually got to meet at NRA Family Day up in Johnson. She is the candidate for the Lamoille-Washington House District here in Vermont. And without further ado, Miss Nichole Loati, hello, how
Good
are you?
morning. I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. I'm so excited to have you on with us today. Okay, so now tell everybody we redistricted here this year in Vermont. And so for those folks who may not know, what towns or what areas encompass the Lamoille-Washington House District?
Okay, yeah. So we are one of the districts that changed between 2020 and 2022.
Okay.
So the towns that we encompass in full include Elmore, Morristown, Woodbury, and Worcester. And then just this year, we've also taken over just the northern end of Stowe. So I'm from Brush Hill North in the Stowe town.
So only part of one of this that seems kind of weird. Is it
It,
normally like that where the lines cross towns?
I'm not sure. That's a good
I'm not
question, but
either.
it's definitely posed some challenges as far as, advertising and also just knowing, when you do something in Stowe and somebody walks up to you, it's like, where do you live?
Yeah, you may be one of my voters, you may
Yeah, or you
not.
might not. I don't know.
That is a little bit confusing, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
when you do advertising on Facebook or mailers or things like that, they go by
Yes.
zip code.
It does, yeah. And so thankfully, I get along really well with the independent candidate who's running in the rest of Stowe. His name's Jed Lipsky, old friend of
Okay.
mine. We have a lot in common. And so
Ah,
he and I have been able to work together a little bit in terms of just, well,
getting
he's
the
helped
word
me
out.
more than I've helped him, I would say. But when he's out on the campaign trail and people, say, oh, I like you, Jed, can I have your sign? He'll say, well, actually, you're in Nichole's district, and he'll point them to me. Um,
Oh, wow,
yeah.
cool.
And then also in terms of the mailing, yeah, I did an every door direct mailing, and there are people in his district that ended up getting my mailing. So
Oh,
I just gave him a
bummer.
heads up so that there would be no confusion if anyone reached out.
Okay, so this independent, you're not running against one another, you're running in different districts that
Correct.
happen to overlap.
Converge in Stowe. Yeah.
Converge, that's a good word.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we've got a little bit of the weirdness worked out and explained to folks. Nichole, why don't you take a couple minutes to share with Vermonters, share with our viewers what your platform is, what your top priorities are for Vermont?
Sure. So I the word platform for me is such a weird word because I'm like so not a politician. I'm just like a person. But so I'll start with what got me interested in this,
Great.
and that was that I'm a mother of six, and I'm also a small business owner here in Vermont, and I've been getting more and more concerned with the future that my kids are going to have in this state, and as they're growing up, one's in college now. I'm wondering if they're going to come back, right? Because it's just not affordable to live here. There's not a lot of industry in terms of career
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah.
Housing is a huge concern, especially here in the Lamoille-Washington area.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I
with that in mind, I when I was asked to run, I waffled on it for about 5 minutes and then said, yeah, you know what? Somebody's got to do that. So it's going to be me. So when I look at Vermont, the big picture of Vermont, my concerns are primarily fiscal. I'm concerned about the affordability of living here in terms of housing, in terms of wage gap,
mm,
when that it relates to housing and the cost of living in Vermont,
yeah.
in terms of business being able to survive here and prosper here. And I'm not as concerned about a lot of the social issues that people are concerned with. I mean, I in that regard, I definitely want to hear what people's concerns are on these social issues. And when it comes to hopefully getting into the state house, I would be then reflecting back what my constituents want because I don't have an overriding passion about social issues in the way that some folks do.
Well, and I think that we have enough folks in the state house right now who are concerned about those social issues, and it seems
Yeah,
like that's the only thing that they're concerned about.
yeah,
They have an end that they're trying to reach, and they don't seem to care about the Vermonters that they steamroll to get there. And
yeah,
so it's interesting to hear you talk about your priorities, um, because you're really seeing the problems that we're facing overall, right? So you see the struggle of being a small business owner and trying to maintain that, make sure you have employees, that you're fair to your employees, that you make enough money to pay your rent and all of the bills.
yeah,
And then you have a family, and we keep hearing this over and over again. Young people are leaving because
yeah.
we do, you nailed it, Nichole. The regional average salary for New England is something like 79,000, and here
Mhm.
in Vermont it's only 59,000.
Right.
So not only are we $20,000 lower in average wages here in this state, but we also have one of the highest costs of living in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. So Vermonters really struggle more than other folks in other places in the
Mm,
country. And you know, I that just that seems so wrong to me. Like I don't get it.
yeah,
I don't get it.
yeah,
And you know, maybe that's naivete, but I feel like if other states can figure it out, we can figure it out,
absolutely. It's
right?
all about priority and reason, I think. And
Mhm.
that when we see such a wild overrepresentation in the state from Chittenden County pushing what
Yeah,
the kind of corporate laptop class thinks is important, rather than looking at what people are dealing with in our rural areas, you just see this gap between what people really need and want versus what politicians think that they should have.
absolutely. Yeah, and that's a big gripe when I literally canvassed around, right? I knocked on so many thousands of doors. I
Yeah,
don't even know.
I think you
I
said
so many.
7,000. I was
Oh,
so
ridiculous.
impressed.
So that was a big complaint though, is people are like, you know, I hate Burlington. I hate what they're doing in Burlington. And
Yeah,
the, for me, the disconnect is like, why is that even relevant? Why
yeah,
is that relevant? Because what they're doing in Burlington should not be relevant to what's happening in Worcester or
yeah,
in backwoods Woodbury, but it is relevant because the state house is being run by people who are only focused on
yes.
Burlington or Montpelier, and so these rural backcountry areas that you know,
The
in terms of
majority of the
social,
state, the
yeah, I mean,
majority of the state.
if they're going to be concerned about something, you know, it might be like, hey, it'd be cool if I could get internet here
Yeah.
or like cell service, but you know, that's not a concern in Burlington because that's long, you know,
Oh,
been
yes.
a thing there. So it just it doesn't make sense that we have such an overriding lean
Yeah.
toward the biggest city in Vermont, you
Right. Well,
know.
now speaking of this, do you have some specific ideas you want to share with Vermonters, folks in your district, that you is there anything you want to overturn when you get to Montpelier? Is there anything that you want to propose? Do you have some ideas you want to share with folks?
Well, I've got lots of ideas, right? We all do. They, but one of the things that is very concerning to me is the Global Warming Solutions Act,
Mm,
and which is, you know, a foregone conclusion. That's something that's been in effect for several years now. But what's been coming out of that Global Warming Solutions
yeah.
Act in terms of the Clean Heat Standard, and then there's the Transportation something initiative,
Mhm.
I climate initiative, I think it's called. These policies that are coming out of this are such noble goals,
Yeah.
honestly. Like if I could snap my fingers and save Earth tomorrow, I would. And I think that the vast majority of people on this planet would say the same.
Yeah.
But these initiatives that are coming out of the state house are bankrupting people. I mean,
Yeah.
quite honestly, I was just reading an op-ed this morning that was talking about how petroleum run vehicles are no longer going to be purchasable in Vermont after 2035. And And even if you go and you buy one in, New Hampshire, you can't register it here. So
So what are we gonna
I,
like? I
there's
mean,
just
that's
no
just
infrastructure for
outrageous.
this. I mean,
Well,
it's ridiculous.
think about this too, right? What are we gonna burn more wood chips at the McNeil Power Plant in
I,
Burlington? Like,
I
what
mean,
are you talking about?
it just doesn't make any sense. Like it's like I said, it's a noble goal. It is.
Yeah,
But like let's be realistic, folks. And so many of these people that I've been talking to out on the road, they're barely making their mortgage payment. They're just totally overwhelmed by what this winter is going to bring. I've been talking to people who are going and buying 5 gallons of number two fuel at the gas station every couple of weeks because it's what they can afford to do, and then they're pouring that into their home heating tank because that's what they can do. Nobody can afford to sign a contract. People can't afford the payments. Everybody's hoping that the price is going to go down. Folks, the price isn't going down. That I mean, you're only going to find yourselves in a tougher situation in 3 months when you really need the fuel and it's not going to be there. And here we are talking about like, oh, we're gonna set up this convoluted system of heat credits or clean whatever, and oh, the petroleum companies, they're all just gonna want to not sell you oil anymore because then they're going to benefit by getting these credits that I'm not totally sure how that benefits them in any way.
it is
Meanwhile,
an
they're having to hire staff to like
yeah,
administer this whole program that doesn't make any
yeah.
sense.
It
I
is
mean,
absolutely outrageous. The way
yes.
that the law was written was that basically oil and natural gas sellers in Vermont will have to put themselves out of business
Yeah,
by encouraging people to switch to electric furnaces and whatnot. And if they don't do that, then they will be penalized. So
right.
they have the state of Vermont, okay, your elected officials in Montpelier want fuel dealers to literally put themselves out of business.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we don't have the capacity to produce enough electricity to actually move people to these
Well, that's it.
things.
I was actually born and raised in Southern California, so seeing this stuff that's happening that Gavin Newsom is putting into effect out there, I take
Mhm.
it a little personally. I
Yeah.
mean, my whole family ran from that
Mm.
22 years ago. We ran to Vermont. And here we are all of a sudden emulating. It's like if
Yeah, a
California does it,
failed.
it's cool. And now
Which
we got to do it.
and it's wild, Nichole, because a lot of folks know I lived in LA in
Right.
2017 and 2018, and we went through a 4-day blackout in the middle of Los Angeles in the middle of the summer because of these outrageous energy policies.
Yeah.
And when I moved back to Vermont in 2018 and saw that we were literally just going along with whatever California said.
Yeah. I
No, don't
know.
do
I
that.
know. I mean,
I've
it's
seen this
mind
fail.
blowing. It's mind blowing. And I mean, that's it. If we're going to take their advice
Yeah,
on these initiatives, then the least we can do is have our eyes open when we see the consequences of that, which are
and
these rolling blackouts,
yep,
inability to air condition their homes, which
yep.
I get in Vermont, like that's no big deal. But when it's 120 degrees out, like it's kind of a big deal, guys.
Well, right, and that's the thing is, and we have cold. So what happens? You want us all to switch to these electric heat pumps. What happens if the power goes out?
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
what am I supposed to do then? We have electricity outages. And oh, by the way, you guys have proven that you're going to continue to make decisions that make electricity more expensive and
Yeah.
less reliable. And why would we trust you? Vermont already sequesters carbon. Okay, that's for folks who don't know what that word means. It means we already recycle carbon more than we produce it, unlike most of the other states in the country.
Right. And now that's because of the amount of forestry, I think, right? The amount of trees that we
It
have.
helps. We also have a
Yeah.
very clean grid. The reality
Hmm.
is we have a very, very clean energy grid overall. And that's not because of, did you hear that?
Was it a person, a cat? What was
I'm like,
that?
did a bird just hit my window? I'm so sorry. That was so startling. I might cut that part out of the conversation. Um,
Instead of holding up that positive record, you know,
yes.
these positive
Yes.
facts and saying, look at us, look how we're doing,
Yeah.
it's like we're punishing ourselves and saying you could do better.
Correct. And so it's not just the forestry. Natural gas and propane actually are some of the cleaner burning types of power, especially for home heating.
Hmm.
It does not produce much in the way of carbon. And if we were to convert to natural gas power plants and things like that, there's mechanisms, there's little, little doohickeys you stick on there now that makes the exhaust get repurposed to create more heat to be more efficient. And
Absolutely.
so there are just better options. And in a state where it's winter 9 months out of the year, maybe we
At least.
shouldn't, maybe we shouldn't be taxing the hell out of fossil fuels like some of our legislators want us to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, that's exactly it. I would very much be a proponent for focusing on what's going to affect us today,
mm,
keeping people in their homes, keeping
yeah,
people fed, keeping people safe. If there's like all kinds of time and money down at the end of the day, just
yeah.
sitting there, then yeah, we can look at this stuff. But the way that it's been prioritized, I just don't think it's healthy for anyone.
I think a lot of Vermonters agree with you, and hopefully, plenty of people in the Lamoille-Washington district agree. What else do you want to share with Vermonters, Nichole? What would you like to share today? What's your pitch to your area, your district? What? Oh, and give your final pitch, and then make sure you share with everybody, where they can find you, your website, socials, how they can contact you.
So I don't have a pitch per se, you know, I'm a simple girl here, but um, you know, what it comes down to is we're all people. We all want to be able to get along. The divisiveness of the last
Mm,
several years, it's been painful. It's been painful for
yeah.
all of us. And I have to say that since I did start in running for this campaign, and I started out terrified, honestly. I mean, I'm a business owner and my company actually employs my husband. So if my business were to be blacklisted, you know what, blackballed, whatever,
Yeah,
it that would be the end. That would be a really big deal for my family.
yeah,
But I have to say that when I started doing this, I was nervous, but it's been so positive.
yeah.
The reaction that I've been getting from the people in my district and even outside my district, just in general, when they find out that I'm running and, you know, we just have normal conversations about stuff, everybody's been so supportive.
Good.
I'm getting along with my competing candidates really well. There hasn't been any negativity.
Mm,
You know, we can be in the same room together. We can have conversations, hard conversations, and everything's okay. So I do feel good about the future of Vermont. We just got to
yeah,
make the tough choices on the ballot. And
that's right.
my biggest concern is that people get out there and actually do vote. I mean, we're making it super easy, right? Sending everybody and their dead relatives a ballot. Um,
Yep,
there's
there's
no
no
excuse.
excuse. There's no excuses
No
here. You have
excuse.
a whole list of the candidates. You can look them all up. You can Google them.
It's true.
You
It's true.
know.
Speaking of which, you can find me online at Nichole Loati, vtrep.com.
Okay, now
That's
spell that.
Nichole.VTREP.com.
All right, I like it. Okay, now are you on any social media, Twitter, Facebook?
No, no, waste of time. I got a life.
Social media is it's great and terrible all at the same time.
Times suck.
I love seeing my cousins and their kids and
Yeah,
everybody out. My dad's whole side of the family is in Colorado. So it's nice for all that, but then it's all the not nice stuff that I could
yeah,
do without.
yeah.
But I love it. Okay, so Nichole Loati,
You got it.
VTRep.com. Okay.
Yep.
So that's where they can go check out your website. On that website, is there contact information like an email, phone number, or something like that
All
if
my
they want to get
contact info is on that website. And because I don't have social media, I have been very careful to make sure I outline all of my stances on various issues.
good?
I've compared my website to other candidates, and I'm getting like way more information than most folks. So that,
Good.
look at it, and if there's something that I haven't answered, email me and we'll
Okay.
talk.
I love that. All right. So everybody needs to go out, everybody in the Lamoille-Washington House District, make sure you get out and vote this year. Make sure you vote for Miss Nichole Loati and then make sure you give a like to this video. Share and subscribe. Share it to everybody that you know in Nichole's district so that they know they have a reasonable, common sense person that they can vote for, because I think a lot of times what we see is that people don't vote because they don't think there's anyone out there that will represent them and stand up for their voice and what they think matters. And so, Nichole, I just want to applaud you and say thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for putting your neck on the line. Thank you for being willing to risk your own livelihood. And it's, I think that's what it's going to take here in Vermont is people really need to be courageous and stand up in the face of cancel culture and the woke mob to say no, enough is enough. I will love you and respect you, but you can't keep taking my stuff. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Erica, for running as well. You've got my vote. You've got all of my family's votes. I made sure of
Yay.
it.
Yes. Well, I thank you, Nichole. I think that we have a better chance than ever this year to take
Me
back
too.
our state house, take back the take back Washington. We're going to do this for Vermont and we're going to do it for America. So thank you again,
Awesome.
Nichole.